Welcome to Beyond Kalidasia, the show that takes you behind the space combat miniatures game Legends of Kalidasia. I'm Jason, the creator of the game. And just recently I released a video showing you how to paint up a Surakari warship. So today I thought I'd sit down and kind of take you through the workflow of how I shot that video in case you want to shoot one yourself. So let's start here by taking a quick look at a segment of the video. All it really is I take you from start to finish, the different steps you would need if you want to go ahead and paint up one of the Surakari miniatures that I sell, which of course is through Kalidasia.com. Now with all video production projects, you have pre-production, production, and post-production. So let's start with the pre-production and the planning process. Know what you're going to film, know how you're going to do it, and the steps you're going to take for the painting job. So make sure you have your paint scheme figured out and how exactly you go from an unpainted model to the painted model before you turn on the camera. Now you can kind of make it up as you go, and I've done that in the past if you ever watched the Tabletop Battlefield or some of the build projects there. But what tends to happen if you don't know the steps you're going to take ahead of time, you kind of go down the path and eventually you'll realize it's not going to work. You kind of have to jump back and backtrack a little bit. And that's going to break continuality of the video. You'll see it jump from one point to the next without really explaining how you got there. And it'll create a little bit of confusion, and it'll make the video a little bit harder to follow. Now also with pre-production comes with setting up the equipment. So let's take a look at a picture here of the setup I used for this video. The two main things when it comes to setting up the equipment for a video like this is one, choosing a good camera placement. It's very important that your camera angle is situated such that it focuses on the miniature you're painting, and it does not include large portions of your body, and that your body is not going to go ahead and block the shot. So oftentimes, like for example, a camera shot from behind you over the shoulder is not very good, or maybe from like the back side, because then your arm might get in the way, your shoulder might get in the way. So as you saw in this video, I had the camera basically pointed straight down right at the area I was working at. But also maybe a shot from the front, like over here looking towards you, might be a good camera angle as well. Have one camera angle looking down at where you're working, and have another one pointed at you, so through the editing process you can kind of swap between when you're talking, maybe, if you want to do it that way, and just showing the video in progress, or the work in progress, I should say. And it is important, no matter where your camera angle is, that you are cognizant of where that camera angle is and you don't get in the way. Even though I had a nice straight down shot of my work area, there's actually quite a few shots of basically me getting my head in the way, and I'm basically telling myself as I'm watching the editing thing here, Jason, move your darn head out of the way. So wherever you place the camera, make sure you got a clear, unobstructed shot, and just know where that is. Another tip that can be helpful is that you have a way of marking your work area so you know where the camera is focused. Maybe put a little pencil mark down, something, even like a chosen paint splotch. As you can see on the table there, I got a little spilled paint everywhere from all the figures I painted on it. Maybe pick one of those areas of paint that's not identifiable to the person watching the video, but you know that this color red right here is where the camera's focused, so keep the figure in that spot. So that way it's always in the center of the frame, and you know you're not worrying about dragging the figure away from the camera or whatnot. Another important thing about setting up equipment is lighting. What you didn't see in that video, or sorry, in that picture, was a gigantic light box I've actually got pointed at me right now. It's a custom built rig that I built cheaply. That's actually could hold up to 4 CFLs. So it emulates approximately 400 watts of light in a little reflector box. Lighting is one of the things a lot of amateur videographers screw up, because it is kind of hard to do. It's very important with painting, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of dark colors like that dark green and the black primer. You have lots of light and lots of light focused on your work area. Cameras have ways of dealing with lots of light, so if you oversaturate it, camera settings can help reduce that. It's much better to go ahead and have a lot of light than a little bit of light, because you can't fix a little bit of light in post-production. The video ends up being dark and grainy and it just doesn't look very good. So moving on to production, here's how I like to do it. I shoot the whole darn thing and edit it down later. I'm not trying to go ahead and reach up, press start, pause. I think that parts that I think are important. Just record the whole 40 minutes, hour, half an hour, however long for you to take the figure, and you'll edit it down later. Now along those lines, voiceover comes later. As I'm filming the video, I may make some notes talking to myself to kind of do a little bit of an audio log as to what I'm doing, so later when I write the voiceover, I know what's going on. But I don't plan on using any of the actual audio from the video shoot. Having a nice scripted thing later on that I'm reading and recording helps reduce the use of words like or ah or stuttering, things like that. Or in my case, the word so, as in the one episode of the Tabletop Battlefield where I said the word so about 103 times, I think. It's like season 3 if you ever want to watch it. So once you got it all shot, go ahead and take it into your editor, and we get to the post-production, editing down. The first thing I do is kind of do a bit of a rough cut. I find the different scenes that represent the various steps I plan to show in the painting process. I just kind of stick them in the video editor. I don't try to trim them down. I just have the different steps here. And I can use that as a guide now to write my final voiceover script. So now I've got, okay, here's the figure primed. Here's the figure with this paint layer, with this wash, this highlight, whatever it may be. And that way then I can go ahead, write my different voiceover scripts, and then record the audio for each of those sections individually. Now, once I got the audio recorded, we're going to go back, find the best recording of that particular section that I recorded, and I'm going to match it up with a rough cut. Trim the rough cut down to about the length of the audio, and now you need to come up with an editing style for transitioning between each of those rough cuts. I mean, this is a personal choice of what you like. I try to avoid a very hard cut where you literally just cuts from one scene to the next. Some people like to do that on the internet, and that's I guess a valid video editing style. I think it looks terrible and annoying. So I usually go with a transition like I did in this video, or back in the days of Tabletop Battlefield. I kind of had the fun little kick in the techno music and go into hyper speed for about 5-10 seconds, and then come out at the end of whatever I was doing. I actually chose not to go that route with this particular video because, as I mentioned earlier, I was not really paying very good attention as to where the camera was, and there was a lot of shots of just seeing nothing but my head as I'm painting this figure. So there wasn't a lot of good fast motion filler video I could have used for that. So I went the more traditional, talk about what I'm doing, and just gently fade to the next step. And finally, you can go ahead and then tack on a little intro explaining what you're doing. Usually with short videos, less than 30 seconds, if not less than that. I know a lot of people like to keep it under 10 seconds, which is cool. 30 seconds is usually fine for me, unless I find I watch an entire series of a video right in a row, where it's like one video after the next. The 30 seconds can even seem kind of long, but once again, it's a personal choice. Keep it under 30 seconds, have a nice little pretty intro. Preferably something more than your default text that you typed into your video editor, because that just doesn't look good, seriously. And if you do use text, another fun little random video thing, whenever you do text on over video, give it an outline or give it a shadow. It's much easier to read. That's another thing people screw up. They basically have a video like what you're seeing right now, and they just drop text over it, and you can't read it, and I don't know what it says. So always give text a shadow or an outline, or at the very least give it a distinctive enough color from the background you can read it, but a shadow and outline are better, because then it breaks it up from the background video. It's the same thing with an outro. Tack on a little intro or outro music at the end, a little thing talking about who you are, where you're from, if you have a website, any kind of copyright information, stick that there, nothing fancy, and call the video done. So there you go. That should give you a pretty good idea of kind of the workflow of how you approach how to paint a miniature video. Once again, I'm Jason, the creator of Legends of Kalidasia. If you have any questions for me, you can send them over to me at kalidasiagames@gmail.com. That goes right to my phone, which today is over on the other side of my gaming table. I can write back to you, or if you wish, I can answer it on a future episode of Beyond Kalidasia. And of course, if you want to check out the game Legends of Kalidasia or buy into the products, head over to kalidasia.com, where we got the figures, starter sets, some Nook/Kindle books available for sale, and of course a free starter set if you want to try the game out. So there we go. Thanks for watching.